Anne from Make and Take at the Berlin-Peck Library. This is a tutorial for punched book paper roses. Let's get started.
All right, here are the supplies we will need for our punched paper roses. This one is on a piece of floral wire, and I'm going to show you how to do that type today. But it's the same procedure if you want to make just a flat version of it, which you could then put on something as an embellishment. Like this was put on ribbon. We had it around a little glass votive holder. But it's the same procedure whether you build it around the wire or just on its own. And you're just going to start working from the inside to the outside. I'll put that right there. So for this, you're going to need some paper, which I'm using book pages, but you can use colored paper, a lightweight paper. You can't even do cardstock with this type of flower, but you just have to work with it a little bit more. I have a little piece of floral wire. This is a floral punch that I happen to have. If you don't have a floral punch or a circle punch, you can do this by cutting out circles. You can also just hand draw a very easy little flower and cut those out. And you're going to need scissors. So I'm going to slide some things to the side for now. I'm going to start by punching out my flowers, and I have 3 sheets. Actually, I have 4 sheets here. I'm not going to need all of that, but you're going to need 5 punched flowers or cut flowers to complete 1 rose. You can use more, and that will make your flower more full, but 5 will do it for you. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. And we're going to use our scissors to cut these a little bit. It's very methodical. So on this first one, I'm going to cut out 1 petal. I'm going to just cut in a V shape right towards the center of the flower and pull out 1 petal. So you've got 1 petal and a flower with 5. Now in the next one, I'm going to cut out a 2-petal section. So there we have our 2-petal section and a 4-petal section. On the next one here, you can probably guess where I'm going. We're going to have 2 3-petal sections. And these last 2 we're going to leave whole, but I'm going to cut a slit just to the middle, okay? So all the petals are there, but there's a slit, and I'm going to do the same thing for this one. All right. Now we're going to slide some of these off to the side for the moment. And we're going to work from smallest to largest. So that means we're going to start with this 1 little petal by itself. And I'm going to use the floral wire to build up the flower. So it's going to be the stem. It's also going to help me as I wrap the petals around. Now you can use scissors to help shape these, and I kind of curl them just like you would curl ribbon if you were wrapping a present and curling ribbon. I'm not using the sharp side of the scissors, I'm just using the edge to curl it. But I want this first one to curl up nice and tight, just like the center of a rose. I'm going to take my hot glue, and be careful with this that you don't burn yourself as you go along. And I'm just going to wrap this up. And you may need a little more hot glue once you get it wrapped. But I want this one relatively nice and tight. I'm going to add a little more glue on there. Let me bring you in a little closer. I'm going to put a little more glue right in there and just hold that tight. This is all going to be hidden on the inside of the flower. All right, so that is the center of your flower. Now you can see how the edge of the petal is here. As I build the flower, I want to alternate the center of the petals and the edges. I don't want all my edges to show up in the same place. So we're going to take this next one and we're going to build it around. Now there's a couple of ways to do this. You can do some glue and wrap around just like I just did with that center part. But you can also, since we're working with a wire, this works really well too. Put a little bit of glue along the edge and we're going to overlap these. So I'm putting that glue just like so. All right, and before I do anything else, I'm going to curl these out just a little bit. The further you go with the flower, the easier it is to curl these edges out because they'll be more open. But I'm going to just give them a little encouragement here. And we're just going to slide this right through there. And it's going to come up here, and that way I can position it nicely, take a look where it looks good. Once I see where it looks good, I'm just going to add a little glue right here to the base. I'm going to slide that piece right back up. And I'm really giving it a good press. I want it to hold nice and tight. All right, so you've got your first two pieces. We've used the one petal and the two petal section. So now we're going to go on to our three petal sections. Got a little string of hot glue here. I'm going to pull that away. So I'm going to do the same little bit of glue on the side here. Fold that over. Okay, so you can see those right there. Gradually building the flower out. I'm using my, oh sorry, make sure you can see, I'm using my scissors to curl those petals out. Definitely easier now that the piece is much more open. Okay, if you can see that. I'm going to slide this right through there. Decide where I want my petals to go. So I think that looks pretty good. Oop, that moved on me. Put a little glue here at the bottom. And the nice thing about the hot glue is you can still adjust it a little bit as you go along. All right. So that's petals 1, 2, and 3 on there. And we're going to do the same thing with our next 3 petal section. I'm going to overlap it about the same as I did last time. If you want, you can, when you do that first 3 petal section, you can overlap it a little bit more. So it'll be a little tighter. Oh, it's not cooperating with me. All right, there we go. So I'm going to curl these out. All right. And then I'm going to slide it right on. so let's add a little glue. Slide that up, give it a nice push. And we are ready for our 4 petal section. Okay, so same thing, I'm going to put some glue on the edge. Bring this petal over. And you can overlap it as little or as much as you want, depending on how full you want your flower to be. I've overlapped it about halfway there. I think you can see that. I'm going to curl these out. And then we're going to slide it onto our stem. Okay, I'll take a look. Let's see. I think I might want one side. Sometimes one side will stick out more than another. And just play with how it looks. And I'm going to slide that down. Give it some glue. Ooh, sticking onto my flower there. If you get a little glue on there, ooh, I gotta be a little more careful. You can just leave it on there, it'll look like a little raindrop. But since I stuck my finger in it, I'm gonna cut it off. All right, now we are on to our 5 petal section. So I think you can figure out at this point what we're gonna do. We've got that section there. Oop. Sorry, I've got some glue strings here. We're going to curl these out. Slide it through. Take a look, decide where you want it. Okay, that looks good right there. And give it a good squeeze from below. All right, now we have our last ones. This first 6 petal flower I'm going to overlap completely. And my last one I'm going to leave a little bit looser, because you know those petals on the outside are always the most open as the rose opens. So we want ours to look the same. Give it a quick little curl here. And slide this through. Now, if you're into simple things, you can make a beautiful flower just out of this. Add a couple of beads or a rhinestone or pearls in the middle, and maybe a couple layers just like this, and that would be a beautiful flower in and of itself. Okay, so we're going to decide where we want those. I think that looks good. Drop it down. And I'm just pulling on the stem and using my fingers to give me pressure to get that piece up. And last but not least, oops, sorry, can't see. Got my last 6-petal piece. I'm going to overlap it just a little bit. Curl those leaves. And poke that through. I'm going to stagger it with my last layer. Hopefully. All right. And our punched rose is finished. Now, if you'd like to finish off the stem, like I did on this one, you're just going to take, I'm going to take another book page here. Let me bring it down a little bit. There we go. Cut a little strip here. I'm going to put a little bit of glue. Actually, I think I'm going to, because that's so small, I'm going to put the glue right on here. And I'm just wrapping that around. And I'm just giving it a good squeeze so it holds. Okay? And then you're just gonna spin and work it down your stem. And wherever it's loose, I'm just squeezing it in. If you want to, you can add a little bit of glue as you get halfway down, just to help hold it. But you don't have to. I found it was pretty secure if I whoop, I ripped my paper. But you know what? You can just glue that right in there. I'm going to add a little bit of glue. We can put a leaf there, and you'll never know. I've got glue on my fingers, excuse me here. Okay. I'm going to do just a little bit more glue to hold that spot where I ripped it. I am holding the paper here at an angle to get it to work its way down. Oh, I'm about to rip it again. So do be gentle as you go along on this. But if you rip it, like I did mine, you can always pull it off and try again. Or you can just cover your mistake with a leaf, which is what I'm going to do. Okay. All right, so we have our flower there, mostly ready. And here's my pages that I punched earlier. I'm going to use this little extra bit to cut some simple leaves. I'm doing these decent size. I'm not going to use all of those though. I think I'm only going to use 2. You can smooth it off a little bit. Get this out of the way. And I'm going to fold it again. And then you can decide where you want it. If you feel like that's too big and you want a smaller one, just trim it down. I'm going to add some glue here to the bottom. I'm going to put that leaf right where I ripped my paper. And I'm just wrapping it around the stem a little bit, and that just helps that leaf pop out a little bit. Stand out away from the stem. And I think I'll give it one more leaf. With some glue. Now you could make a whole little bouquet of these and use them as a decoration somewhere or as a little gift, a nice little flower gift that will never have to be thrown away because it won't rot and it won't fade. And here is your punched paper rose.